I ride to explore and experience places not many people are capable or able to go to. I have seen landscapes and scenery many dream of seeing, purely because I ride.
Good, great. How you doing? How you doing?
Hey, Zach.
I have experienced joys and endured pains that many can't relate to, purely because of riding. It gives me an escape that nothing else can recreate. I can completely focus on the ride. And that singular focus brings me peace and a happiness I can't really describe.
And then last year, on the 15th of October 2024, it was another ride, but there was another driver, another car, except this time my dad didn't come home. Over the past 20 years or so, on average, about 25 cyclists die every year. Now, just 25, right? It's not a number that shocks anyone, but last year that stat included my dad. And I think that's when the number started to mean something.
Hello Kayla, it's good to see you. I'm Bobby Behan. I live here in Stellenbosch, originally from Ireland. I work in the bicycle industry.
I'm Pauline Penn from Road Bike Magazine, Editor-in-Chief.
Hi, I'm Stephen Ing, and I'm a cyclist.
Hi, my name is Damian Vasovic. Cycling for me is the gift of being able to see the nature. I think once again in South Africa we are blessed with splendid nature anywhere in South Africa. If you are mountain biking, you go on hills that you never walk up. And it is simply something spectacular to the soul to be once again so close with nature.
So I would say cycling is my life. I got into it at a very young age. So I've been kind of with bikes all my life, be it for fun as a kid. I actually ended up racing seriously, and now I'm in the business of importing and selling bicycles, so it's been my life.
I got involved with the E2E crowd, the guys who E2E was engine to engine. It's the engine garage in Bryanston. If you were part of that group, you had to meet Jono. I always say that our first interaction was a physical interaction, because he noticed on the ride I was struggling to keep with the group, going up the Wicklow climb. And yeah, I just felt his hand on my backside, bringing me back into the group. I mean, everybody who met Jono would say he's a unique character. I mean, he's a character.
Then you're part of the club. with some fries.
He would walk into the room and he would be immediately the center of attention. By his voice, by his presence, and he demanded respect, not only because of his knowledge of cycling and sport, but he was a world-class athlete. I didn't know this when I rode with him in Johannesburg. I used to chat, like also be chatting the bunch. But I remember, Jono once went down to a race in Durban, and then I asked him on Monday, how did the race go? He said, no, I came second. Second? I thought he was like joking. Then they did the Bavians. He had a partner. Bavians is a 232k mountain bike race. And I asked him, how did you do it? No, he came second as well. I thought, jeez. I know what it takes to come in the top 100, okay? But to come second is like unbelievable. I had a group, I call it Inspire Cape Town, and Jono was a regular member of that group and ride. I mean, everybody who was part of the group said he brought color to the group. Jono, he was actually, similar to what we do in here. He became the videographer of the group. Every single ride, he would make a video. He would publish it, edit it, publish it on YouTube.
No smiles there. Time for a coffee break, and then the limp home. You okay, Bebo?
Ride a road bike, they said. It'll be easy, they said.
And almost everybody, after the ride, couldn't wait to view the footage.
Make sure you get some exercise done. Don't use the excuse, oh, it's been a long day, or oh no, I don't feel like it. Get on whatever you do and get the work done. Hope you have a week to come.
Before my dad became Jono Clutie, the cyclist who was killed on the R304 by truck, he was simply just Dad.
Okay, go. And spin. Yeah, and more. Are you gonna get dizzy?
The kind of person who sent you Me To You teddy bears to school every Valentine's Day, someone who made really good tuna mayo sandwiches, and someone with the most infectious laugh. My dad was obsessed with the outdoors and fitness. He built a company called Urban Fitness Outdoor from the ground up, proving he believed that movement could change lives, and he spent every single day proving it. In April 2021, I was 16 years old, and my mom had fetched me early from a friend's house. I got into the car and my heart just dropped to my tummy as I saw my mom's face just covered in tears. When I asked her what was wrong, she didn't want to tell me and said it would just be better to tell me at home. Now, I was not letting that slide. I was not going to sit with this pit of anxiety in my stomach all the way home. I had to know now. She just looked at me, tears streaming down her face, and said, Kayla, your dad's been in an accident. It's safe to say the pit in my stomach didn't leave after I knew. It just grew deeper. So it turns out, my dad was coming home after just splitting with the group, and he was hit by a car. This guy had run the red light, had probably been on his phone, hadn't seen my dad, and had hit him. It was horrible. My dad had clinically died that day on that scene, and there was a gentleman who was able to resuscitate him and bring him back to life and stabilize him before the paramedics had got there. He, as much as he overcame now the first obstacle, being brought back to life, the road from there was not easy. From that day on, his life remained forever changed. He suffered countless injuries that not very many humans will survive from. He had a broken leg, a broken arm. All the skin had come off of his arm, and he had actually had to get a skin graft. His body was molded back together with titanium bars and titanium plates. He had a fractured or ruptured pelvis. He had broken his collarbone. He had broken his ribs, which had essentially punctured his lungs, causing his lungs to collapse. And probably the worst was he had bleeding on the brain, and that led to something called frontal lobe brain damage, which is a type of traumatic brain injury, and it led to a personality change. My dad was unable to walk. He was in a medically induced coma for a month and hospital for another 5, and with rehabilitation to 8 months.
Slow and controlled movement. Can you do the left side for me, Jono?
And he didn't know how to walk, he could barely talk, and all of his independence was completely stripped from him. Frontal lobe brain damage refers to an injury to the front part of your brain, the part which governs executive functions, voluntary movements, personality, and impulse control. Symptoms from this type of brain injury drastically alter daily life. And you can imagine for someone like my dad, who was a fitness and health professional, who dedicated his entire life to fitness, to motivating others, to inspiring others, now not being able to walk, barely being able to talk, his independence completely stripped from him, and having to kind of relearn how to live in this new body because he felt so out of control, like it wasn't who he was, which it wasn't. He had completely changed. For the very first time in my life, I experienced what it's like to look at someone and feel a deep pit in your stomach. There's no manual for watching your dad, the fitness and lifestyle, muscular, witty, confident man I knew become someone else. It was like a stranger was occupying the body of the man I once knew. But despite everything, he persevered. He put in the work, and he chose, in his own words, to be a victor, not a victim. And by only a miracle from above, he got back on the bike. It wasn't an easy journey. He struggled with his brain injury. It caused a lot of anxiety.
Hey, how's it going? I wanted to...
He actually put together a list in his note app that I found after he died, speaking about just how much he had to endure each day. And I mean, the list is so incredibly lengthy. It's things like repeated vomiting or nausea, short-term memory issues, stuttering comes and goes, permanent headache. One of the most bittersweet, I suppose, and heartbreaking things that I found, and that I suppose I already knew, but just to see it in my dad's own words, is at the very end of this note that he had made, there was a bullet point that says, riding and making videos is therapy for me.
My anxiety is literally through the roof 90% of the time. And you probably think to yourself, well, what's that got to do with anything? Well, the reason why I ride my bike is because exercise has a massive part to play in anxiety. After the ride, the anxiety is completely reduced.
It was the most surreal experience seeing my dad get back onto the bike and into exercise. For the first time in I think over a year, I saw glimpses of who my dad actually used to be. Cycling for him was, honestly, like he said, the type of therapy that money just couldn't buy. My dad's stutter and anxiety completely vanished when he was on his bicycle. It's truly as if Jono, before the accident, was reborn. I felt like I was really starting to get my dad back. I was really starting to have hope that what seemed impossible, what doctors told us would never come right, a brain damaged far beyond anyone could endure, had the ability to heal itself.
For the first 2 weeks, the chances of my survival was less than 5%. So 95% chance of death and 5% chance of survival. So my story started with an arbitrary event. I had a bicycle, I had 2 brothers with 2 bicycles, and there was a public holiday. We went to a place called Senseless, and it's really a place where people cycle, people walk, people run. We got there in the morning, it was relatively cloudy, and as we were climbing the first hill, being brothers, we always were competitive, so the one goes forward, the other one goes back. We love one another. We go to the second hill, we did something very similar. At that stage, my 2 brothers were to the right in front of me, I was a couple of meters back. And as we were summiting a hill, all of a sudden this car came rushing in the opposite direction. It was a bakkie that was traveling around about 90 kilometers an hour. It swerved out of the way of my two brothers and went straight into me. As I flew into the car, my hands first made contact with its bonnet, and you can see there's been a lot of damage within this hand. My leg hit the light and there's a big cut in it. My face and my head went straight into the window. The window cracked and I was able to kiss the steering wheel with my forehead. I was then flung over the car and I was afforded a very welcoming soft landing at the back of the car as it was full of rubbish. Obviously it made little difference to him as he was in a car with seatbelts on. He was the person in power, whereas I, being a pedestrian, was the person who was vulnerable. It broke all 4 lobes in my skull. So ultimately each and every bone that a person has in the head was broken. I later learned that the doctors at the Union Hospital were kind enough to pull a piece of bone, a piece of skull from my brain in order to put me together. My nose was broken, my eyes shifted back, my cheeks were broken. I've obtained quite a lot of titanium in my shoulder. At one stage it seemed as though they would have to replace a certain bone with an artificial bone, and there was obviously a risk of actually losing an arm. My vertebrae, 4 of them were cracked. Right now one incredibly just 2 of them actually fused together. So now unfortunately I have pain, a lasting pain for the rest of my life in my back. But having said that, it's better to live with pain than not to live at all. I was rushed to the hospital, but it took quite a long time. My younger brother had to hold my head together. I was degloved. It's a new word that I learned in English. It actually implies that the skin of your face opens up. And there was going to the cut that I sustained from this side of the ear to the other side of the ear. And he had to put his fingers in my mouth as he was afraid I was going to choke on the blood that I was losing. They managed to stabilize me and they managed to take me into the Union Hospital. By the time I reached Union Hospital, I was very close to death. It was obviously a very rough time, not only for myself, for my body, but for my family. There was a man who was 30 years of age who felt like I was the strongest person alive, a person who was invincible, lying in a diaper, unable to talk, unable to communicate, unable to express my surprise of where I was, unable to ask any question. But the biggest thing for me was that I realized that I didn't want to stay the way I was. So each and every day, as you try to move that leg a little bit further with tears in your eyes, you try to do a little bit more and you cry a little bit more. You start taking pain medication to stop yourself from crying, with the idea of once again being able to cycle. I was able to become what I was before the accident. I was able to cycle and it put a smile on my face. My brother, always being a very bullish man, had the silly idea of entering us into the Cape Epic. There I was, a man with a broken body, with still a broken mind, with an entry to the Absa Cape Epic, which was going to occur 3 years after my accident. We trained like crazy for 4 months, in rain, in the sun, getting sunburned, getting fevers, and carrying on. When we undertook the race, I was in fear that my back would give up. I was in fear that if I fell down and I knocked the shoulder with all the elements that are in it, it would probably never be put down back together again. I was in fear that if I fall down and I hit my face, something would break again, or once again that something might happen to my head. Regardless of that, we undertook the race. I'm very happy to say that we came just outside the top 100 for that race, which put us within the top 10% of the race. So we literally finished just after the professional teams. For me, it was a victory of actually now being a better cyclist than what I was prior to the accident. I decided to share my story, and the reason for doing that is that I think we can all, first of all, inspire one another to overcome challenges, to overcome those peaks and troughs in our lives. Doesn't matter whether you're a cyclist, whether you're a runner, whether you're a person who trail walks, or whether you're a person who just drives a car. What we have today is a gift and could be taken away tomorrow.
I think anybody who's crossed Jono's path, you will never forget the character and the person he was. He was that type of huge personality,
I wish I could explain the unfairness of it all, because my dad had worked so hard to get back on the bike, and he worked so hard to recover and to push and to carry on doing what he was so passionate about, which was exercise and fitness, just for it to be taken away from him 3 years later by the exact same situation. He was actually on his way to have lunch with me in Stellenbosch. He was riding from Joburg to Stellenbosch, and he had phoned me and he was super excited. He was telling me he was on his way to see me and that I must hurry up and get ready, and I was like, oh my word, Daddy, I'm not even ready, like I need to go. And yeah, 5 minutes later I got a call to say that his Garmin had detected an incident report, and I got sent the coordinates, and I asked a friend to drive me to the location, and when I put it into maps, I just saw that the entire road was red. And I think I knew that was bad, but I was used to this. But I think as I started to approach the traffic and I realized that the whole road had been closed off, I think that's when my heart sank a bit, and I got out the car and I just raced down the highway and literally just running, because we couldn't drive anymore, so I just had to run down the road. And there was a truck, and there was an amazing lady and police officer in front of the truck, and behind the truck was ambulances, and you could just see this huge commotion happening behind the truck. I tried to run past the truck, and a police officer, she stopped me and she said I couldn't go, and I was very upset. I was like, who are you, like, who are you to tell me this? I said, it's my dad. I said, you're gonna let me go? And she just said no. She said, come here, can I pray for you? And I was like, yes, you can pray for me. I was like, yeah. I thought she just wanted to calm me down, so she prayed for me, and I just looked at her and I said, listen, like, he's had an accident before, like, just tell them to resuscitate him. And she said, he's already covered. And I don't really know how to explain how I felt in that moment. I still struggle to understand how I felt in that moment. I didn't believe it to be true. I mean, my dad had survived so many times before, why couldn't he just survive this time? But she just sat me down and she just said that when they got there was nothing they could do.
Sure. How emotionally moving to meet the daughter, 21 years old, of a guy who was taken too soon. Another one. I've had a couple of bad crashes. Thank God survived them, and like Kayla said, my kids have often thought, well, someday we're going to get the call that she got. I've got metal pins in my hands, I've seen the movie, and I'm the same as Jono. Jono was a powerful human. Everybody loved Jono. Everybody who loves fitness, everybody who loves cycling, people who love health, gregarious, A-type personalities, this was the guy. This was your model South African human, an inspiration to his kids and everybody else. And yet, despite having survived over 8 months coming back from literally near-death experience, he was clinically dead, brought back to life, recovered, later smashed his face again, and had come back from that, and as he put it, a cat with 5 lives. He then was taken out by what seems to be, and pretty clearly, is a badly constructed road that wasn't fixed, that other cyclists have clearly fallen on, which seems so insane that one little piece of tar could cause the death and the loss to a family of those proportions. Kayla will never have a dad. That's brutal.
I actually don't own a road bike currently in South Africa. I haven't ridden a road bike on the roads here for, it must be a decade. So when I said that I don't road cycle anymore in South Africa, there was one moment that had actually a profound impact on me and made me reconsider riding on the roads here.
Barry Stander, I interviewed him 2 days before he got killed.
He was a monster talent. In 2009, he was crowned the under-23 world champion. He also won a senior World Cup. He was a big talent. One of South Africa's brightest prospects.
Child prodigy of monumental proportions. Young, in love, living in KZN, on the coast, doing what he loved. Basically the greatest potential cyclist we'd ever seen. Gone.
On the 3rd of Jan 2013, I'll always remember where I was and when I got the phone call. But Barry Stander was killed on the south coast of Durban by a taxi while out training.
We were chatting on the phone. I said, I'll call you tomorrow to finish the interview. He said, cool, I'll give you a shot. And when I got home on my bike, my wife said, hey Paul, did you hear about Barry? And I said, oh no, sure, but did I miss the interview? And she said, no. And she came and gave me a hug and said he's gone. And to this day, there's a hole left behind. Any cycling conversation about road safety, at some stage will go back to Barry. It shook us all.
If you go and Google search it, the fatalities in South African roads per head of capita or per 100,000 is one of the highest in the world. You just have to Google it. It's very high.
It's hell out there. It's a lottery every time you go for a ride.
I suppose I'm probably a little more conscious now about the roads and the safety and so on, and that's why I kind of go riding the road or riding the mountain. I choose to ride in the mountain because I go, I've got 2 young kids at home, I've got a wife, I've got family, they're dependent on me.
People like Alan Windy in Western Cape and many others, Bicycle Empowerment Network, have pushed to get cycling lanes, have pushed to get safe roads, safer cycling, more infrastructure, etc. And yet, generally, it's fallen on deaf ears. There's been efforts, and they've been short-lived. We're not a safe country to cycle on the road.
To compare South Africa and Ireland in terms of cycling safety and road safety is poles apart. It's exponentially different.
I was in Europe a few months ago and did a long trip through various towns. I literally never cycled on a busy road. Every road had a side junction, had a little bridge, had a little road, cycling infrastructure, dreamy.
So, riding on the road here in South Africa, even though I haven't done it for years, I have done it. You're aware that people are passing you at high speed. You're also aware that anybody can cut up tight to you with almost zero heed. I commute by bicycle to work, so there's bits of it in Tar. And you just have to be awake. You have to be wide awake. That's not to say you're going to be okay, but you do have to be wide awake.
Another senseless loss that I'll never forget is a very good friend of mine, Andre Peel's wife Sharon, calling and also sending a message about Andre having been killed stone dead by a maniac driver in a Porsche doing 160 or something on the road next to the cradle. 6 o'clock in the morning, riding with his mate, another monumental human, and a hit and run, another hit and run. And Andre's gone. You know, visiting his home 6 months later, seeing his bike on the wall, seeing his Iron Man pictures, seeing his kids with no mom and dad, seeing his son lying on the couch with his dad's rugby jersey on with his name on it, daughter with a signed cricket bat, signs of him everywhere, but 2 kids who are growing up without Andre. And he was doing what he was supposed to do, just like Jono, in the yellow line, doing what he loved, doing what he's supposed to do, and taken too soon. Just talking to her, you recognize how a single moment, can affect years and years. My own mother was paralyzed permanently within a kilometer of where Jono was first hit, the William Nicol in Joburg. She's still like that. She's at 85, she hasn't walked for 35 years. She can't think properly, etc. because of dangerous roads, bad signage. These things do happen, but they happen too much here. And we need to band together. We need to make this place a better place to be, the kind of country which it yearns for. It's sunny. You can cycle 365 days a year here. Let's think for a moment of all those who've lost those amazing humans that were just doing what they loved, because we need to make a difference. So I'll take my hat off to Kayla, Silent Spokes Initiative. Please, cyclists, let's support it. Let's take a moment, go look at the website, contribute in your way, and let's make sure that lives like Jono's and Barry's are not lost to the world. Let's make them count.
I can't change what happened. I can't forget what I saw. But I can decide what happens next. The freedom I feel on a bike, the freedom of expression, and freedom of emotion has not yet been matched by anything in my life. Cycling has shaped who I am, and I'm not ready to let fear take that too. And that is why I ride.